Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel. Welcome back to my channel. Today I am going to be talking about some of my favorite romance books. Since it is February, it is the month of love, Valentine's Day just happened. I thought it'd be fun to talk about some of my favorite romance reads. I did already film like a good portion of this video and then the lighting just got super messed up. So if the lighting is bad in this video, I'm really sorry. I moved my camera angle, so hopefully it's a bit better. I will say too, my taste when it comes for romance reads, I really like a closed door romance. I don't like a lot of smut. I know that's very unpopular, but I like romance because I like falling in love with the characters and their love. I do have some spicier recommendations in this video, and then I also have some closed door, some like softer romances. And then also I will say I've never really read dark romances except for when I was maybe like 15 and was reading Wattpad. My parents sold me to the One Direction Mafia romances. Like, I've not really read dark romances, so I don't really have dark romance recommendations. I am thinking about maybe doing like a reading dark romances for a week, so if you think that you would like to watch that, let me know and I will definitely film that. But yeah, these are just some of my favorite romance books that I wanted to talk about today because I think everyone should read these books and give them a shot. Let's get into this. They're kind of all mixed up right now, so we're just gonna dive in with the top of the stack and get into it. So this first book, if you've watched my videos, you've already heard me talk about this book. I did a whole reading vlog on this book. I read this over October. It is a little bit more of like a spooky romance, which in my opinion, you can read this at any point during the year. It's so good. And the second book, I believe, is coming out in March. I was too late to ask for an e-arc of it, but oh, I'm so excited to read it. So this is Bad Luck Charm by Julie Johnson. This is about an owner of an occult shop in Salem, She ends up having stuff happen outside of her shop where basically her life is in danger. There is this private investigator that comes and tries to help the police find who's doing these things to, you know, obviously stop them, but at the same time he's very protective of her because they have a past history. This book is so good. I was giggly. I'm realizing now that it's very windy outside, so I'm so sorry if my mic is picking up on the wind. I absolutely loved this book. It was so good. I loved the setting of the book. It was just really fast and like funny yet still good. There's some steamy scenes in this. I loved the main character. There's a who did this to you scene. I had such a good time with this, and I've not ever seen people talk about this book, so I'm doing my due diligence to try and get this book on y'all's radar. So good. Really recommend this. Next is a book that is pretty much on everyone's radar, but I do want to talk about, and it is The 7-Year Slip by Ashley Poston. Or Poston. I don't necessarily know how to say her last name. This is a romance book, but I feel like the story is more about life and things happening at the right time, that sort of thing. So this is about our main character whose aunt passes away, and her aunt leaves her apartment in New York City, I believe is where it takes place. And her aunt had always told her kind of these like tales about how you can time travel in the apartment, and she was always like, I don't believe you, like, okay. She believed her when she was younger, but she got older and did not believe her aunt. One day it actually happens where she goes into the apartment and all of a sudden there is a guy in there, and she's like, what the fuck are you doing in my apartment? Until she realizes that she time traveled 7 years back in the past. There is a scene at the end of this book that genuinely had my jaw on the floor, and I cannot talk about it because it is a very big spoiler. This is one of those books that like I immediately wanted my mom to read. I immediately needed to give it to people to read. It is so beautiful, and I feel like it didn't really get its full time on BookTube. I feel like people they read it and then they moved on, but just I think I took so much from this story. It is so beautiful. It's not just about the romance. It's a lot of other things that you can live and learn through this book. So yeah, I really recommend this one if you've not tried it. I've not read The Dead Romantics. If that one is a good one, let me know, because I would like to try more books from that author because she has some beautiful writing. Next is another book that I've not really seen a lot of people talk about, and this one I found randomly on a romance table at Barnes, but this is Sammy Espinosa's Last Review. I'm getting like the weirdest deja vu as if I've filmed this video before, and I think I've planned this video before and maybe I filmed it but scrapped it, but I'm having really bad deja vu right now. This is Sammy Espinosa's Last Review. This book has like LGBTQ references, spotlights. What is the word I'm looking for? Sammy goes through a really bad breakup with, I believe it's her girlfriend, and she does like journalistic pieces about music and musicians. Her ex-girlfriend is a famous singer. She decides to go back to her hometown to try and get this review out of this super famous rock star because she knows him because they had a one-night stand like ages ago. This is another book where, yes, the romance is really good and really fun to read, but there's just a lot of like familial storylines, and it's just a really beautiful story. I really liked this. There's a lot of representation, I think was the word I was trying to look for. There's a lot of representation in this book, and it's very beautiful. And also, I absolutely adore this cover. It's one of the prettiest covers I own, in my own opinion. So yeah, I would recommend this. Check this out. I know y'all saw what Netflix posted. You need to read Penelope and Colin's book before you watch the new Bridgerton series. I don't know when it's coming out. I also do not have Netflix, so I probably won't be watching it until I go to my parents' house where they have Netflix. Thank you, Netflix, for cracking down on password sharing. Anyways, I love the Bridgerton books. I do not care. I love a good Regency era romance. The men are so respectful, and in this day and age, men are not respectful. This is Colin and Penelope's book, so it is a friends to lovers romance, and oh, I loved it so much. I read this in a day when I read it. I want to say back last May. So good. I actually really want to reread this. This is very spicy. This is a very spicy book, and especially if you do like the TV series. I'm not trying to be one of those people that is like, read the book before you watch the TV show, but some of the scenes in that book, they're gonna be crazy when they have to put that to TV. Next is another sort of like Halloween witchy romance. This is The Ex-Hex by Erin Sterling. This one is, again, another one that I don't think you need to wait until like October to read. I really liked this book, and I just think this book is so good at putting you in the world and in that environment. If fall is your favorite season, if you love Halloween, I think you should read this. Doesn't matter if it's not fall or Halloween when you're watching this. This is about Vivi and Reese. Let me tell you something. If the male main character, who's the love interest, if his name is Reese, there's just something about it. He's just gonna do something. This is about those two. She gets drunk one night. He broke her heart. They weren't really together for that long, but he broke her heart nonetheless. And so she gets drunk and decides to curse him with her cousin. Now, she thinks that this is just like a, haha, we're drunk, we cursed him, like F him type of a thing. But he has to come back to the town to charge the ley lines because he is very important in the town. He's like the last name of the town, and when he comes back, the curse is affecting him, and she finds out. She has to help break the curse. Okay, sorry if the angle just like slightly changed. My camera just fell in. You're right now being balanced on a plant. My bangs are just not working with me today, and it's kind of annoying me. The next books are books you've probably already heard about. I don't care. If you've not read them, you definitely need to give them a chance, and they are the Chestnut Springs series. I have the second book, and I think this is the fourth book. I've only read up to the fourth book. I think there's actually 5 books. It's an interconnected series, and it is about cowboys. Say less. And if you've never read a cowboy romance, do not roll your eyes. They're actually very good. So the first one, I believe, is called Flawless, if I'm remembering correctly, and it is about this bull rider. He has basically a scandal happen, so he has to get a babysitter. His babysitter is this girl who's had a crush on him since she was like really young, and it is a romance between them. It's like kind of like sports talent ex like manager type of romance. And then the second book is Heartless. It's this one. This is about Rhett is his name, if I'm remembering correctly. This is about his brother Cade. Cade is a single dad, and he needs a nanny because this man is busy as shit. And so it is a single dad ex nanny romance, and there is a kid in this book, but the kid is actually very cute and not annoying. This is my favorite book out of the series. And then the third book in the series, which isn't my favorite, I didn't really like this book, but a lot of people really like it, is about Jasper, and it is a friends to lovers romance. He is a hockey player and she is a figure skater or a ballerina, if I'm remembering correctly. And then I lastly read Reckless. This book is a accidental slash secret pregnancy kind of, and I would say that that is kind of a spoiler, but if you look at this cover and you look a little closer, it's a boot and a baby's boot. so I'm not spoiling anything. I loved this one for Theo specifically. There is a scene in the book. The only reason I read that book is because there is a scene where the girl basically says, hey, get your dogs off of me. And Theo barks. Get out of here. Next, I have another interconnected standalone type of series, which you all have probably read or seen. And this is the Maple Hills series, which is Icebreaker. And then this is the second book. I actually listened to Icebreaker and like, I don't own a copy of it. And listen, it was a really good story. I really like this series because all of the characters actually feel like they're different people with different personality traits. And I don't think authors do that well a lot of the time. For this series to do that well, it's really good. This is the second book in the series, and this is about Russ and Aurora. How the first book is like a hockey romance, takes place at the college. This one takes place in summer break. In the beginning of the book, they have a one-night stand. They don't think that they're ever going to see each other, and all of a sudden they are both camp counselors at the same away camp for the summer. Follow their romance. There's a little bit of kind of like a secrecy. It's forbidden for us to be together, and there's puppies in this. It's very cute. Russ is adorable. This series is very steamy. For the covers looking like this, it's steamy as shit. Next, I have a book series that I feel like I've not really seen a lot of people talk about. Personally, I will eat up a Greek mythology retelling. Every single time I read a Greek mythology retelling, it's like one of my favorite books. And my favorite Greek mythology retelling is going to be a good Hades and Persephone retelling. Whether it's romantic or realistic in kind of what the actual story of Hades and Persephone is, I don't really care, but I love a good retelling. So this is the A Touch of Darkness series. I believe I read this book in like 2021, so I don't know if I'm putting this in order, but I believe it goes A Touch of Darkness and then A Touch of Ruin and A Touch of Malice. This isn't a fantasy series. Like, I would consider this a romance, like a steamy kind of romance series, but it is a little bit kind of like a fantasy because you're reading about gods and mortals and the different worlds. But yeah, I really like this. Genuinely, if you have like any Greek mythology retellings that you think that I should read, I've already read like Ariadne, I don't know how to say her name. I've thought about reading Electra. I don't think I'm ever going to read Achilles' Song or whatever that one is. But especially if you have any Hades and Persephone retellings that aren't just smut. Really, I don't care for the smut, but let me know because I love those retellings. They're so interesting to me. Next, I have another Bridgerton book that I love. I got this book because last spring I watched Queen Charlotte. I think I watched it in like one day and then I immediately had to go out and read the book. When I tell you, this man haunted my thoughts. He haunted my TikToks. He was the man that I was watching TikTok edits of for weeks, for months. I love this man. His love confession in this book is genuinely, like, I think reason enough to read this entire book. If you have seen the TV show, this is pretty much word for word what the script is. It is so beautiful, such a great story. Their love is so beautiful and just perfect, and oh my god. If I, at some point in my life, don't get a screaming I love you confession from a love interest in my life, what's the point? What is the point? Next, I have another interconnected standalone series, and this is for my F1 girlies. I know you already know what the series is, but this is the Dirty Air series by Lauren Asher. So I have book 3 and 4 because they are my favorites in the series. In my opinion, 1 and 2, not the best. Honestly, I never think of those books. I don't really care that those are books in this series. It is kind of nice to read those because you get sort of a backstory of some of the other characters that are in this series that are important. Out of these two books, the third book is my favorite, and it is about Lena and Jax. And this book is about, I want to say Carlos, but it's about Santiago and Chloe because I picture Carlos Sainz as this one and Lewis Hamilton as this one. These are just really beautiful books. This one, again, is kind of that sort of like sports star X babysitting management person. And then this one is fake dating, grumpy, sunshiny, and this one's very interesting. There are a lot of storylines outside of the romance in this one that are just crazy and I love. These books, I believe, are getting traditionally published, so I'm very like excited to do a reread of them once they are, to see what changes, if anything changes, anything like that. So yeah, I really like the Dirty Air series. I'm a I'm an F1 girly. I love McLaren as my team. Are we gonna lose to Red Bull this year again? Yeah, I'm scared, but it is what it is. The last romance book recommendation that I have is personally my favorite book from this author, and that is Miss Ali Hazelwood. This is Love Theoretically. I believe this book came out last year, and this is genuinely the best book that I think she's ever written. I will say I've not read Bride yet. That's right now on my TBR shelf. I will be getting around to that. I think I'm just a little scared by the Omega verse, the wolf vampire of it all. But this is Love Theoretically, Ali Hazelwood. It is another science woman in STEM romance, and this is about two rivals. I said this wrong in a video, but it is a physicist and a theorist and an experimentalist. I don't fucking know. They're two scientists that they are on opposite sides of science. They do not like each other. In this book, there's a little bit of fake dating, and it's not fake dating in the way that you would think fake dating would be. Like, I don't want to spoil anything, but it's so good. It's kind of rivals to lovers. Ugh, loved it. This one is pretty steamy, I would say. Ali Hazelwood books, in my opinion, are about as steamy as I like books to be. But yeah, this book is a 5-star for me. This book had me kicking and giggling the entire time I was reading it. So, but yeah, those are all of the romance recommendations that I have right now. Maybe hopefully this year I'll read some more, and then next February I can do an updated romance recommendations video. I gotta fill the void of having no men in my life with fictional men, because let me tell you something, sweetie. Fictional men are better. That was today's video. I hope you liked it. If you did, give it a thumbs up, and again, please comment if you have any Greek mythology retelling like recommendations for me, but also like if y'all have other romance recommendations that you think other people should read, leave those in the comments as well. And yeah, don't forget to subscribe, like, do all of those things. I will see you in my next video.